Hello there, Alaskans, wherever you are. Welcome to the Must Read Alaska Show. Coming to you from somewhere in Alaska. This is the place where we talk about, you guessed it, Alaska. Where we keep the mainstream media on their toes and where we are standing up for what's right in a world run by leftists. You can find out more by heading over to mustreadalaska.com and also checking out the Must Read Alaska YouTube channel for some really great content. But first, let's get this party started.
Well, welcome everybody to the Must Read Alaska show. I'm your co-host today, John Quick, coming to you live from somewhere in Alaska. And I want to thank everybody who tunes into the Must Read Alaska show. Maybe you watch us here at the Must Read Alaska show, you read us on mustreadalaska.com. Either way you find us, we want to thank you for being part of the Must Read Alaska family. And if you like what you read, watch, or listen to, make sure to click on that donate button. If you go to mustreadalaska.com, on the right-hand side there's a donate button there. And all those $5, $10, $100 a month donations help us. They are what keeps the lights on here at Must Read Alaska. We aren't funded by some huge dark money conglomerate. We're funded by everyday folks like you giving $5, $10, $100 at a time. So we want to thank folks who already do that. We really, really appreciate it. And if you like the Must Read Alaska show, you find us on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and the list goes on. Make sure to give us that 5-star review. We produce all this content for you for free. All we ask in exchange is a review or two every once in a while. So if you've given us a 5-star review, we want to thank you for doing that. And if you haven't, just go on your iTunes, just go on your iPhone, click on podcasts, type in Must Read Alaska, scroll down to the bottom, and you don't have to write anything. You just click on 5 stars. And if you enjoy our app, tell a friend about it. You can just go to the iTunes store or the Android store, type in Must Read Alaska. You'll find our Must Read Alaska app right there, and you could download it for free. A lot of folks enjoy that. And leave us a review there as well. We'd really appreciate it. But without further ado, I want to welcome our co-host to the show, Suzanne Downing. Drum roll, please.
Yeah, hi everybody. It's good to be back. I've been out for a couple of weeks on location, various places in undisclosed locations, and because of the work we do, gosh, it's most of the time I am in an undisclosed location right now, in a hotel room somewhere in Alaska. And so you know what, John? A couple things. One, happy Columbus Day.
Nice
to you for all your friends from Italian kind of heritage. Happy Indigenous Peoples Day, because that's kind of the new flavor, which is they got here first, or they got here before the Italians did. And I'm kind of in the mood of just calling it Happy Explorers Day or Discoverers Day, because some people got some places first, and we really don't know if there was anybody here before them, but just kind of neat that people got out and explored the world in ways that were dangerous and were adventurous. And now we're out there exploring space. And maybe, who knows, maybe we'll run into life out there in space and we'll be conquerors once again, right?
Yeah, when I think about that, I think about back in the day, you used to have to go hunt and kill your food if you wanted to eat. And now we throw a tantrum if something's not on sale at Walmart.
That's if the store's not open. So, but yeah, to that point, speaking of living in a civilized society, I just want to mention that in Anchorage, I am absolutely horrified and disappointed that the Allure Day Spa and Salon is closed permanently. They announced it quite suddenly that they were closing, and this is like the big luxury salon downtown in Anchorage. And women all over Anchorage love getting gift certificates to the Allure salon there. You can get your hair done and your nails done. You can get massage, facials. They can do your makeup for weddings and special occasions and whatever. And they've got all the products you ever want to buy. And I bet there are tens of thousands of dollars worth of gift certificates that are just out there. I mean, I think I have a $70 gift certificate, the Allure Day Salon.
You better use it quick.
No, they closed without notice. They are
wow.
Done. Yeah, they closed. They said, we're not opening. We're closed permanently. We're closed as of today. And that was it. They're closed, which is really too bad, because you look at the decline of downtown Anchorage, and once Nordstrom left, and there's just not as much reason to go downtown. And Fifth Avenue Mall is kind of meh. It's not very interesting, quite honestly. And now their large luxury salon is they just pulled up and left. So but these are first world problems, and by golly, I hope that the owners of the Allure Salon enjoy my $75 that was left on my gift certificate. I'm sure I'm not the only one.
Yeah, I bet there's a lot of folks out there. Speaking
Yeah.
of events and things happening, Sarah Palin had a very interesting event over the weekend, and
Yeah,
she
speaking of people
had
not going downtown, right?
it was rumored that she was trying to get Trump to this event. I think a lot of the chatter and scuttlebutt around Alaska was that Sarah Palin was going to hold another event in Anchorage before the election, and Trump was going to come. Well, plans always don't go as planned, and Trump never came. And they did bring in somebody that's kind of famous in the conservative world, the sheriff, the good sheriff. And but the event was pretty much a lackluster no-show for the most part. Huge room that seated 3,000 people, and I think maybe at maximum 100 people showed up.
Well, I think you're overestimating the number of people. I've looked at some of the video from it, and there's a couple of people that did video from it, and I've looked at the video. And if you took out the people who were staff of the Denina Center, and then you took out the people who were staff for Sarah Palin or part of her campaign, so she probably had 5 or 6 people with her at least, probably more if they expected more people at this event. They expected a lot of people, so they had security, and they had Denina staff, and then they had Sheriff Clark brought his own aide because he's a celebrity sheriff, David Clark from Wisconsin, I guess, and he's kind of popular in Trump world. And then you had these performers. One was a James Brown performer. He did cover songs of James Brown, and then the other one was like Tina Turner or something. So they were these celebrities. And then they had the bouncy house and the mechanical bull out in the foyer out there for people to ride. So they spent a lot of money. Mechanical bulls, bringing them into the Denina Center is not cheap, and then renting that room is not cheap. Getting all that staff there and getting Sheriff Clark there probably cost a pretty penny because he's got a booking agent. He is a celebrity sheriff. He's got a booking agent, and so spent a lot of money. And then you subtract out all those people, you probably have between 50 and 70 people attend that were actually there to see Sarah Palin and Sheriff Clark. And they had put out a flyer, and they sort of papered some of the houses in Anchorage with a flyer that had Kelly Tshibaka on this for a while. So Kelly Tshibaka running for Senate against Sarah Palin. It was going to be a Kelly Tshibaka with Sarah Palin event. I called the Kelly Tshibaka campaign. I said, so you guys didn't show up? They said, we told them weeks ago we weren't going to show up, that we had a scheduling conflict. We told them weeks ago. And yet they still put out this flyer that had a terrible picture of Kelly on it. I mean, it is not a flattering picture. The picture of Sarah was flattering. It's hard to take a bad picture of Sarah Palin, but Kelly's face looks just awful in this flyer that they put out. But in any case, her campaign said that she had already told them she wasn't going to show. So the day before the event, they put out a flyer on social media, and it was just a Sarah Palin event at that point, except that she plugged her boyfriend in to where Kelly Tshibaka was supposed to be. So it was a Sarah Palin, Sheriff Clark, and Ron Duguay, her boyfriend from Florida.
I don't even know who that is.
Well, he's a former hockey star from New York, so he's a quite well known in the hockey world. But still, even with that, they were only able to get 50, 70 people. Now, what was interesting is that they had a sort of warm-up act, and they had Jerry Ward talked for a long time, and they had the James Brown act, which I thought was
to 50 people, that must have been so awkward.
Yeah, it was awkward.
It's one thing to have like 50 people at a dive bar in downtown Anchorage. It's another thing to have 50 people in a huge, the biggest conference room in Alaska.
Exactly. That's exactly right. And so it was cavernous in there, and it's built for it'll hold 3,300, I think. But when Sarah Palin got up to speak, she once again complimented Mary Peltola just enormously and said how much she likes her, but that we just can't, this is a Republican state, so we've got to do Republican things in this state. But interestingly enough, she did say that it was time to rank the red. She did say rank the red, which is the first time I've heard her say that, because in the past, she's been very coy about this. She doesn't like Nick Begich for her own reasons. And she has said, she wouldn't, when asked who she would vote for second, she hasn't said, but then in some of her videos, she sort of indicated that she's going to rank Mary Peltola. This time, however, she said, we have to rank the red. And she sounded, even though her voice echoed through this hall, vast hall where the voice is just bouncing off the ceiling and there's just hardly anybody there. She said that she felt humbled. I think she looked a little humbled by the whole situation. And
this is somebody who's used to speaking in front of tens of thousands of people.
Yeah, and this was a little bit of a different attitude than we've seen from her before. And so you kind of feel bad because they spent a lot of money, they lost a lot of money, and then afterwards, neither Sheriff Clark nor Sarah Palin's campaign has posted anything about this event. They did not post a picture, not a meme, not a quote, not a video. They posted nothing, and that kind of tells you what happened. It was actually a complete meltdown.
Yeah, I mean, this is a prime example to me of not being connected to the Republican Party and some of the repercussions of this, because usually to have a successful event like this, we saw it with the Trump event, all of the local volunteer base, none of these districts are stacked with paid people. These are all volunteers. I volunteer for my district. They're helping kind of create the buzz and get people excited about big events like this. And if you're a candidate who is not only not connected with the party, but oftentimes disrespects and makes fun of the very own party that she's running on, it's going to be tough to pull off an event like this, because you've cut the umbilical cord off for the very people that are going to get actual warm bodies into the building. And we have, for the longest time, Must Read Alaska, we haven't in a while, but I've reached out to the Sarah Palin camp in the spring, summer, multiple times, 5 or 6 different times. You want to come on the show? You want to come on the show? And not only did they probably say no, but they just never even responded. So I think if that's the kind of attitude that you have towards conservatives that are, the salt of the earth folks that are pulling off, helping people win borough elections and city council elections and school board elections all across the state, if your stance with them is always, oh, that's the old boys club, and I don't want to be involved in that, and then you'll basically get 60 people to your event, is what's going to happen.
Yeah. Well, this is one of the most curious things that we've seen in politics. We're not seeing the Anchorage Daily News write about this, really, which is very interesting, because the Anchorage Daily News is a liberal alternative newspaper at this point. It competes with the Anchorage Press for the alternative sort of reader. And they appear to want Mary Peltola to win. And they don't seem to write honestly about anything relating to Sarah Palin. They're not really honest brokers in this regard. They're very much leaving her alone. They didn't write about this event. And this would be national news if the news ever got out. I think the media in general would be pretty interested in this, but it just isn't getting out because your mainstream media is actually suppressing this news. I wrote about it a little bit in Notes from the Trail. I wasn't there at the event. I'm not in Anchorage right now, but I still think that it is a story that is fascinating. The most fascinating political story of the week is just this general meltdown. Now, at the same time on Saturday night up in Fairbanks, there was High Pow. High Pow is annual event. It's a 53rd annual event. It's fundraising for the Catholic schools of Anchorage. It is a big political event, plus it's a big social event. It really is one of the most sought after social events of the year in Fairbanks. And, after things like Pioneer Days and the Tanana State Fair and that type of thing, Golden Heart City stuff. But it's a formal dinner and auction. And so let's see, the political people that I know were there were Mike Dunleavy, the governor. I know Lisa Murkowski was there. The congressional candidate Nick Begich was there, and Senate candidate Kelly Tshibaka was there. So you had a pretty good turnout for some of the candidates up there at High Pow. I don't know if Bill Walker, who's running for governor, was there, because the Catholics are probably looking askance at him now since he's gone full on pro-abortion. You know, you had this pro-life governor. When he was governor, he said he was pro-life, but he's gone completely full on. Everything he writes about now is pro-abortion. So he's pro-death. Yeah. And he probably didn't go to High Power. I don't think he'd be that welcome there anymore.
Well, one of the things I wanted to let folks know that are listening in, because I think sometimes it's good to hear positive snippets of news. Last week, and maybe it's been about a week and a half ago, I was able to follow around Junior, who is the chief equity officer for the city of Anchorage. He was appointed by the mayor. Just
stop for a minute there. Now, can you pronounce his last name?
His name is Junior to me. That's what he said he wanted to be called.
It's Junior Aumave. Aumave. And he's got a Samoan last name that nobody can pronounce. Okay, just so we're clear, it's Junior Aumave, who used to play for the New York Jets and the Dallas Cowboys, right?
Yep.
And you had him on your show. And well, actually, you did a vlog on him. I am so excited about this. It's been so popular, but I think that it's so funny that I can't really pronounce his first name. So I go with Junior, and I can barely pronounce his last name, Aumave. But I think we all need to learn it because it's not that hard.
He's such a cool guy. And I was able to follow him around for a day, about a half a day. And Junior's a guy that was drafted into the NFL. He played college football down in Washington, and then I think over in Montana or Wisconsin. And then he worked his butt off and got picked up by the Jets. And then he played for a couple of their professional teams, Dallas Cowboys, and played professional football for a good 7 years, and then moved on into the back office of the NFL and worked his way up to being a vice president in the NFL in a very short amount of time. Then he went over to the DEA and was like a community engagement person with the DEA for Alaska.
That would be the Drug Enforcement Agency to all y'all.
Yeah, which is really cool. I mean, I'm sure he's got a ton of cool stories.
I bet he does.
You know, he basically just gets paid to hang out with folks. And then Mayor Bronson, saw that he was a very big asset for the city of Anchorage and hired him as the chief equity officer for the biggest city and the biggest state in the U.S. Yeah. And he is just such a unique guy. He really genuinely wants to help adults, kids become their, good leaders in their communities, reach their fullest potential. And so if you haven't seen already, we did a vlog on it, which is a video blog, which I don't know, lasts about 10 minutes. And it follows Junior around in all the nooks and crannies of his day-to-day life. And he speaks at this elementary school. I'll tell a quick story. And the principal before or afterwards was telling us that they brought in this like huge, big speaker that speaks all over the world. And this lady was, literally speaks in a different school every day all over. And she was there like 3 weeks ago, and she had told the principal that these kids were the worst kids she's ever spoke to, that they're horrible kids. She's never coming back to the school ever again. And, basically your kids are the worst thing ever. And the principal, she said she was like, not only was she crying when that happened, but she was like crying while she was telling us the story. Like it was emotional for her.
Oh my gosh. And don't tell us what school it is. Okay. Because that was
Junior goes in there and goes to the school who's the worst school this lady's ever spoken at. And she speaks at schools all around the world. And Junior had these kids on the palm of his hand. You could hear a pin drop in the room. They were just hanging on his every word. And I think he is a true encouragement and motivational tool for the city of Anchorage. And he's doing some awesome things. And these kids left, and they all felt like Junior was their new best friend. And they wanted to make sure Junior was going to be proud of them while they passed middle school, high school, and went off to college.
Well, there is something very special about Junior Aumave. I've got to say that this guy has been hired by Mayor Dave Bronson to be the city's chief equity officer. Now, that job is something that is, you think, okay, so we're going to pay another $100,000 for what? And it was created by the Anchorage Assembly, and it was supposed to be a job for, somebody that they wanted to bring in and then use as their political tool to help Democratic campaigns move ahead. So it was basically a person to be on staff in the mayor's office and to work as a mole and to work in the capacity as a Democratic operative. Well, the mayor wasn't going to have anything to do with that. He fired the old guy who they brought up, this Clifford Armstrong from Tacoma, and nothing against people from Tacoma, but the guy was not from Alaska. He had no history here, and he was a Democratic operative essentially. So then the assembly said, you have to hire somebody. We created this position. You have to hire somebody. So Dave Bronson, the smart guy that he is, said, fine. So I'm going to hire this Junior Aomabi. We've got to, if we're going to talk about diversity and inclusion, let's talk about the Polynesian community. It is one of the largest minorities in Anchorage, a very, very significant minority. And so Junior is actually in the highest political position that any Samoan has ever been in Alaska. And so his job is to work on sort of what they call diversity and equity issues. And the way that he's approaching the job is to say, we got to start at the bottom here with the kids, where, not at the bottom, but the top. The kids are at the top, right? We got to start with the kids when they're fresh, and we've got to really encourage them to be their best, do their best, stay on a good track. And so that's what he's doing, is he's spending some time in some of the schools and giving these talks. He's doing other things as well in the community, but much to the dismay of people like Chris Constant on the assembly, who absolutely threw a hissy that somebody like Junior would be hired, and did not want to confirm him and did not want to even have him on staff. And in fact, during one of the most recent budget meetings, even suggested that they just simply defund the position because he didn't want Junior on there. Junior's doing a great job. And after you did this thing, John, where you came up and you followed him around for a day, put together this wonderful video. Everybody needs to go to YouTube and watch this video. You feel so encouraged about our state, the things that we actually could do if we could get beyond all this politics and just start helping. And you did such an amazing job on this video. It's been seen by over 39,000 people in just like 1 week, which is pretty darn amazing. That's a lot of people. And then he sent me a note, and he just said, all the glory is to God. It's not me. It's all the glory is to God. I mean, the guy is a man of absolute faith, and he's so humble, and he's approachable for people. So I think that he is one of the hidden treasures of Anchorage, and we're so lucky to have him. And Junior, you just keep being you, Junior. We got an awful lot of fans out here. I know John and I are now two of them.
Yep, Junior's literally changing people's lives.
Yeah.
With a smile on. And I can tell you that he's one of the most genuine people I've ever come across. And whether he's getting paid to do this or not, this is part of who he is.
Yeah.
And it's kind of ingrained in who he is. And the future is only bright for a guy like that. I saw on his Facebook, I think yesterday or the day before, he was in New York at a Jets event, some, kind of like former players event. And, he's taken, a lot of folks that kind of see fame, we see them fall very quickly, very hard in the news media. And this is a guy who's taken his brief stint, even if it was 7 years of football fame, and done good with it, and decided he's not going to be about being an Instagram star or a TikTok star or something like that. He wants to invest in kids' lives, and that's what he wants to do. And I think that our state should be proud of a guy like that.
Can I just do a little quick shout out there to Jamie Allard, our assemblywoman from Eagle River, Chugiak, for helping put that together and giving us the idea to follow Junior around and say, this is somebody that needs a little bit of recognition for all the good that he's doing quietly. And it's not about him. It's all about the kids, and it's about the community. And so thanks, Jamie Allard, for giving John the idea that this would be a really good project. So you can find that. Where's that video located now?
It's on YouTube. If you just type in Junior Must Read Alaska, it'll pop right up. We'll put a link in the episode for you guys. And it's on YouTube. It's if you want to have a little inspiration for the day, take 10 minutes out of your day and go watch the video.
Yeah, and if you want to get Junior to come and speak to your school, I bet you that that John, you could help people wire that in. Maybe you should put a contact number or a contact way people can contact you or contact Junior.
Yep, I'll put Junior's city email in there, and I know he told me he's willing and able to speak pretty much in any school around Anchorage. Outside of Anchorage, I don't know how that works, but inside of Anchorage, that's his stomping ground. So he's ready, willing, and able to, go change any kid's life that wants to see them at their school. So
Yeah.
I think we're out of time. It's
Yep.
Man, that time has flown. Any last thoughts, Suzanne, before we head off here?
No, it's good to see you again. I haven't seen you in a couple of weeks, but you've been doing a really amazing job on this podcast, John. I'm so proud of the work you've done. You've had people like Les Guerra on, the gubernatorial candidate from the Democrat side, and you've had some other people on. I know you've got some in your lineup that are going to be a little bit edgy for people. Not everybody thinks that that's the right message, but you're doing a fantastic job. You're getting great guests. I love the fact that you had this British rap star Zuby on, and I just think get him on again, and just keep going, keep doing what you're doing. You're doing an amazing job. I'm so proud of you. Anyway, thanks for everything you do every single day.
Thanks. It's fun, and a gentle reminder to folks. I say this every so often when we have folks that are maybe more liberal or Democrats on the show. Just because we have them on the show doesn't mean we agree with them. It means we want to have a conversation with them. And I think that that's one of the things that we've lost in today's day and age of the political world is we can't even sit down and have a conversation with somebody that we disagree with. And so that, just remember that if you see on the Must Read Alaska show, oh my gosh, they have Les Guerra on.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean we're endorsing him, holding up a sign on the side of the street, hoping that he wins. It means that we're having a conversation with him, and that's about it. So,
yeah.
Thanks so much, Suzanne, for the kind words. I really appreciate it. And for folks that do listen, read, or watch the Must Read Alaska show, the Must Read Alaska website, or anything we do on social media, we want to thank you for that. Our social media stuff has been going crazy the last couple months. We've reached something like 60 million people in the last month and a half, 2 months. And so that's all because of folks like you. So we want to thank you for that. And we just want to thank you for listening in. We're very fortunate to have a very popular podcast, and that's because of folks like you. So tomorrow, or what day is today, Monday? This week, Monday. I'm going to have, I think it's Wednesday, but I don't want to say for sure. This week, I'm going to have Matt Shuckero on to talk about the Constitutional Convention and voting no for it. So we had Jim Inery on Friday about why he's voting yes, and he's on he's on the advisory board for Convention Yes. Matt Shuckero will be on, I believe, Wednesday to talk about why he's voting no, and the group that he represents is behind the no vote. So that'll be very interesting. Until next time, from somewhere in Alaska, I'm John Quick signing off here.